Let me tell you a story that I've never shared with anyone before. It was the trip that changed everything: my life, my career, and even how I viewed love. It all began when my company sent me and my colleague, Alex, to Vegas for a major work conference. Now, Alex and I had always gotten along. We'd worked together for years, always keeping things professional. But there was something about him, his charm, his wit, that had always intrigued me. I knew I shouldn't entertain those thoughts, especially since I was married, and he was in a long-term relationship. We arrived in Vegas late at night, exhausted from our flight. But when we got to the hotel, there was a problem. Our booking was messed up. Instead of 2 rooms, there was only 1, and to make matters worse, the hotel was fully booked due to some major event. The front desk offered us a suite with 1 king-sized bed, promising to fix the mistake the next day. We laughed it off, joking about how this would be the most awkward trip ever. Neither of us wanted to make a fuss, so we agreed to share the room. Strictly professional, of course. The first night started innocently enough. We ordered room service, went over our presentations for the next day, and watched a movie. But as the hours ticked by, the atmosphere began to shift. There was a tension in the air, a pull that neither of us could ignore. I caught Alex stealing glances at me, and I wasn't exactly innocent either. Then, as I was getting ready for bed, wearing just a tank top and shorts, I noticed him watching me from the corner of his eye. I felt a rush of adrenaline, a mix of nerves and excitement. I climbed into bed, keeping to my side, but the space between us felt like it was charged with electricity. We lay there in silence for what felt like hours until Alex finally spoke. "I can't sleep," he said. "It feels weird being this close to you." I laughed nervously, trying to play it cool. "Yeah, it's definitely different." Then, without thinking, I turned toward him, and our eyes locked. Before I knew it, he reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "You're beautiful," he whispered. My heart raced. I knew this was dangerous, but I couldn't resist. And then it happened. He leaned in, and our lips met. It was soft at first, hesitant, but then it deepened, filled with a passion I hadn't felt in years. The next morning, reality hit hard. We woke up tangled in each other's arms. The memories of the night before flooding back, I felt a mix of guilt and exhilaration. "We can't let this affect our work," Alex said, his voice firm but gentle. "Last night was incredible, but we have to be careful." I agreed, but deep down, I knew things would never be the same. The conference went smoothly, but every time our eyes met, it was like a secret only we shared. The tension between us was palpable, and I found myself craving those stolen moments, those secret touches when no one was watching. But things took a turn when our boss, Mr. Carter, pulled us aside. He'd noticed the change in our dynamic and warned us to keep our personal lives separate from work. The last thing we needed was office gossip. Back home, I struggled to go back to my normal life. My husband sensed something was off, but I couldn't bring myself to tell him the truth. Meanwhile, Alex and I continued our affair, sneaking around, meeting in secret. It was thrilling, but it was also tearing me apart. The guilt, the lies, it was all too much. Yet, I couldn't stop. Alex awakened something in me, something I hadn't felt in years, and I wasn't ready to give it up. Then, one day, everything came crashing down. My husband found a message on my phone, a message from Alex. He confronted me, and I couldn't lie anymore. I admitted everything. The look on his face broke me. He was devastated, angry, hurt. "How could you do this to us?" he yelled. "To our family?" But instead of begging for forgiveness, I found myself feeling free. For years, our marriage had been more about routine than love. With Alex, I felt alive again. My husband moved out, and we started the divorce process. It was messy and painful, but in a strange way, it was also liberating. As for Alex, his relationship ended too. We were both free, but at what cost? We tried to make it work, but the weight of what we'd done hung over us. The guilt, the judgment from others, it was a lot to bear. Then came the biggest twist of all. One day, Alex confessed that he'd been offered a job in another city, a chance to start fresh. He asked me to come with him, to leave everything behind, and build a new life together. It was tempting, but I knew deep down that we built our relationship on a foundation of lies and betrayal. Could we really find happiness together, or would our past always haunt us? In the end, I chose to stay, to rebuild my life on my own terms. Alex left, and though it broke my heart, I knew it was the right decision. Looking back, that trip to Vegas was the turning point in my life. It was a whirlwind of passion, betrayal, and self-discovery. And while it didn't end in a fairy tale, it taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself.